Welcome to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Prashant, Sabapathi, and Ozzie Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. To our viewers at home, what's your number? Do you know your number, the amount of money that you need to retire? How do you even help establish that? How do you know what that number is? We're going to talk about that today, and you may be surprised at some of the responses that we hear. Prashant, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ozzie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. It's so good to see you. I love your green.
Thank you. We're matching. You know.
We are matchy-matchy.
I didn't get the memo.
I know. We should have texted you. I'm sorry.
Green is good.
Green is good.
So the topic of today's show, this is so interesting because I'm thinking back to that commercial where it showed people walking around. They had the numbers on top of their head to kind of determine what they needed to retire. But I have to ask you, how much do you need to retire? How do you assess that situation?
So I think we have to start to develop some sort of a vision of what we want retirement to look like to us, right? So if you're thinking about retiring, I think the things you have to think of are, who do you want to be spending retirement with? Where do you want to be? What does a fulfilling lifestyle actually look like to you? We always say when you're planning, you should be planning with the end in mind, right? It's not about really, how do we plan for retirement? We need to know what retirement should look like so that we can back into a plan, I think, is how we should think about it. So to us, it's not about accumulating X amount of dollars to retire. I mean, who knows if your number is truly $1 million or $2 million or $5 million. I think what we have to start to do is change the way that we think about it. Not in terms of how many dollars I need, but more so how much monthly income am I going to need to have coming in to live life the way that I want to. And this is why it's really important to establish a monthly income target. Okay, when we create income for life plans for all of our clients and really everyone that comes in to visit with us, one of the things that we're going to try to drill down on is a monthly income target. I think if you haven't established what a monthly income target should be for retirement, that is a fantastic place to start to figure out how much you're actually going to need when you retire.
Okay.
Yeah, what he says, several months ago, there's this super nice lady came in and we start talking and she said, I need to have $3 million. I'm like, why do you have to have $3 million? Somebody told me that, you know, like I have to have $3 million before I retire. I said like, okay, like, and she has $2.7 million. So she's like close, but she also, you know, not feeling good. She would like to retire as soon as possible. You know, she doesn't like, you know, her boss and everything. I said like, can we do this retirement income plan to see exactly what you need? So we found out, you know, how much a month that she needs, and we found out what's coming from Social Security. She had a little bit of a pension. And what we found out is that the $2.7 million, if we can carve out the $750,000 of the $2.7 million, we can create the income that she needs to close the gap. And she doesn't have to worry about what's going on in the market. And, you know, when we told this to her, she's like, so you're telling me all I need is what I have right now? I don't even, like I said, you don't even need that much money. It's great that you do, but you can take care of your problems today with a stroke of a pen, $750,000, and you're done. Guess what? She retired next week.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
It's not the number. It's all about the income.
Right, absolutely. So how do you start determining what someone needs? Is that just factoring in their housing expenses, their food, their utilities, and then do they want to travel? Is that kind of how you assess the situation?
So I think at baseline, we start by breaking things down into needs and wants, right? So your needs are going to be the essentials. It's going to be your house payment. It's going to be insurance. It's going to be food, energy, the essentials that you absolutely need to run your household on a month-to-month basis. And then we break the next part of it down into the wants, right? So the wants are going to be things like traveling, like entertainment, like how much you want to be spoiling the grandkids when you get to retirement. What's always really kind of a fun exercise for us as advisors is while we're sitting down talking to people about needs and wants, it's incredible how many wants people actually then reclassify as needs when they get to retirement. And I think the reason for that is because, look, you work your entire life to get to retirement. And when you get to retirement, you don't want to give something up. If you sacrifice for 30 or 40 years to get to this point, you don't want to be sitting at home saying, oh, now I can't travel the way that I want to because I couldn't do that while I was working. And I think that's when we really get into this needs versus wants discussion. But it's incredible how many times wants actually become needs. And when that happens, it's all about the income. It's all about making sure that you have a reliable income stream to supplement your pension, supplement Social Security, so that even if the market goes down or even if it goes up, you're still going to have all the income that you need to live life in the most fulfilling way possible. I think that's what it's all about.
I love that because I can see how my Amazon would be on my wants, but then it's going to move to the needs like really quickly. So Ozzie, let me ask you a question as well. What about wiggle room for emergencies and medical costs? Do you like to build in some wiggle room there?
When we put all this, income for life reports and the plans together, we like to put, extra cost of the health insurance and, some of the other things can be. Plus, we look at for the inflation, what's going to be within the next several years. And I personally like to, plan for this whole thing up to age 100, which, sometimes the people say, like, I'm not going to live to be 100. It's fine. Like, as long as we do the planning, up to that age and we calculate the extra medical costs, because, like, we're still going to pay, like, out of pockets and that, and we're still going to have the inflation, which we don't know what the inflation is going to be in the future. Right now, it is crazy. And
yes.
like the client came in a couple of days ago, and she was telling me she used to go to the grocery store and spend like $150. Now it's like $250. That's a lot of extra money.
Yes.
That is how much the prices went up.
Yeah, and I think you have to build wiggle room in. Life is going to come at you. What happens if you need the new hot water heater? What happens if you need, I call it the 4 new tires fund, right? If you need 4 new tires on your car, can you fit that in to your monthly spending, or would you have to dip into savings, right? And so let's say that your needs and your wants together take you to about $6,000 a month, right? So that hypothetically $6,000 a month is what you need to retire in the most fulfilling way possible. We're always suggesting to clients, let's build an extra 10 to 15% of extra income over and above the needs and the wants simply for wiggle room, whether it's the 4 new tire fund, the additional healthcare expense, cost of living. We want to build in at baseline probably an extra 10 to 15% simply to take care of the things that life throws at you. Folks, if you don't know where to start, or if you've never put together a true monthly income target, we're going to open up our phone lines right now. The phone number is 833-308-5200. That's 833-308-5200. When you dial this number, you'll be able to schedule a complimentary visit with our team at Elite Income Advisors. You'll come into one of our beautiful offices, and we'll be able to sit down with you and talk you through your situation. You tell us what's important to you, what your retirement looks like at its most fulfilling version. We're going to help you create a personalized retirement plan that gets you to the income that you need to retire comfortably. It's all free of cost to come in for that visit. There's absolutely no obligation, but you have to be the one that takes action. Pick up the phone, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. If you have your smartphone, you can scan the QR code here in the bottom of your screen. That will also take you to a page where you can book your appointment directly.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzie, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen, 833-308-5200. As we mentioned earlier in the show, you've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have peace of mind. You deserve to have the retirement of your dreams. This phone call could change the trajectory of your retirement years. That number, 833-308-5200, or you can snap the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk about how the face of retirement has changed through the years. Let's take a look at the past versus present day. We'll be right back momentarily.
Everybody in my family is in medicine. So my parents were both doctors. My brother's a doctor. Everyone in my extended family is in medicine. But science was never really my thing. I was always about numbers, and money was always really intriguing to me. I went to University of Maryland. I was economics and finance, and I was fortunate enough to work for one of the big box retailers in the insurance advisory world right out of college, and that's where I met Ozzie, and that's how I got started as kind of a new guy in the business. I kind of learned the ropes there, but it became pretty clear in 2014 that we wanted to go independent and have a little bit more control over how we deal with our clients and give them good advice. There's no feeling quite like watching your clients get to do everything that they wanted to do. Work doesn't feel like work to us. We get to help people plan for their next phase of life. Being able to help people do what they want to do and being able to make a pretty good living out of it makes it all worthwhile and truly fulfilling for us. It truly doesn't feel like work.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozzie Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. And we're talking all about retirement planning and right now the way the face of retirement has changed through the years. Ozzie, really looking back to how retirement has changed through the years, one of the things that we talked about so often is that when you retired years ago, you had the gold watch and you had a pension, but pensions are becoming a thing of the past. Have you noticed that as well? And what has replaced the pension?
So back in the days, when our parents, grandparents, when they were retired, they were a couple different of sources of money was coming in: the Social Security and the pension, and their money from their savings. But most of the money was the Social Security and the pension.
Yes.
But these days, you can barely see the pensions because the private companies, most of them, they don't provide any more pensions. Government still provides, but even that one is changed. Like, you have to save, by yourself to, get more money at the retirement.
Yeah.
And now these days, like, we have Social Security just a little bit, and most of the money needs to come from our retirement accounts, like the pre-tax or after-tax. But now it's our responsibility to save money for our retirement.
I mean, it used to be that pensions and Social Security would cover like most, if not all, of your expenses.
Yes.
And then people started living longer. Pensions started to be underfunded or mismanaged, I guess you could say. Interest rates were extremely low for decades, it felt like. And so pension funds could not supply the pension in the way that they had in the past. So this has created what we call the wealth effect, right? The wealth effect is this idea that the burden of responsibility has truly shifted. It shifted from employer, who is providing the pension, to employee. All the folks watching this show right now, you're realizing you have to save more into things like the 401k, the IRA, the thrift savings plan, just to make your income match your expectations when you get to retirement. I'll tell you what, in the last probably, I don't know, would you say 7 or 8 years, would you say that we've had more millionaires and multimillionaires come into the office asking us, how do I make sure that this big lump sum that I've done a great job saving, how do I make sure that this doesn't run out on me one day? And I think there's a reason for that. I think there's a reason that we have so many people coming into the office asking, because retirees' number one concern today is still, am I going to outlive my money? And I think people are feeling the burden of that responsibility falling on their shoulders as opposed to their employers. Like,
back in the days, like, we say, is like what was happening is like we were working and we were getting paychecks.
Yes.
And when we do stop working, we were still getting checks from different sources. Most of them was coming from the pensions and the Social Security. Now, we don't get any more checks, so we have to create our own paychecks to just like find a way to close this gap, because the Social Security is not enough. We need more income.
That's right.
Right. And so basically you are creating a personal pension for each client that comes into the office. So you have different buckets. Would that be the approach, if I'm not mistaken?
That's exactly what we talk about. And I'll tell you what, the clients that are the best fit for us, because candidly, not everybody is a good fit for what we do, but the ones that are a great fit for us and we're a great fit for them, there's this belief system that having different buckets of money becomes really important. On one hand, we have a growth bucket of money, and that's going to be our market-based bucket. It will go up and it will go down through the fluctuations that the market generally provides to us. But then on the other hand, we have a totally safe bucket of money. And that bucket of money is designed for two things: safety of our principal and income that we can rely on every month, every single year for the rest of our lifetime. I was meeting with somebody who was watching the television program. They came in to visit with me. They had about $2 million saved. And what we were able to do, this was fantastic. We were able to show them how using just about 35% of their portfolio created all of the income that they were going to want and need every month for the rest of their lifetime.
Wow, 35%.
Just 35%.
That's incredible.
And the incredible part was that they thought that they were behind in their retirement plan, but their advisor, who they were currently working with, had just never mapped out a real plan for them. Wow. There's so much power in some of the education and knowledge, but people just don't know where to look to get the resources they need. That's what we do with our folks every day. Whether you become a client or not, I think you should be educated.
Absolutely.
And so I encourage you, pick up the phone, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. Bucketing your money is so important.
I love that. And what I'm also thinking about right now before we take our commercial break is that so often people are putting money into their 401k accounts, correct? Which are pre-tax.
Pre-tax,
Let's talk about that. How is that a time bomb for people when they're coming in the office and they realize, you know what? I haven't paid taxes on this money. Now I'm going to be taking it out. Do you implement strategies like a Roth conversion, perhaps?
Yeah, so this is something that I call the lump sum illusion. Okay, so the lump sum illusion is this idea, and I think I did a video. You can visit our website. It's eliteincomeadvisors.com. But if you've been saving your whole life, you've accumulated this lump sum, but if all that money is in pre-tax accounts like 401ks and IRAs and thrift savings plans, do you really have as much money as you think you do?
Don't you think that you have a partner in that account?
I think you do have a partner in that account, and that partner is Uncle Sam, right? If you saved $1 million, I think it's a fair question to ask, do I really have $1 million? And most of the time, people will find that that answer is no, because of the embedded tax liability with those accounts. So if taxes are always going to be there, wouldn't we like to pay, in theory, the lowest tax rate that we could possibly pay?
Yes.
I think absolutely we would want to do that. And so if we think taxes are going to go up in the future, which I think a lot of people do, does it make sense to do something like a Roth conversion where we pay the taxes at today's rates so that we never have to pay them again?
Absolutely.
So addressing the lump sum illusion is a huge part of your retirement planning process. Folks, maybe you're working with an advisor already. Maybe you already think you have a plan in place. If you haven't considered the impact that taxation will have on your retirement savings and your net income in retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, and do it right now. It's 833-308-5200. That's 833-308-5200. When you schedule that appointment, we're going to take you through a comprehensive retirement review, and one piece of that process is helping you map out your income each and every year for the rest of your life. We'll compare that to your monthly income target and identify whether or not you have a gap in your income. But then what we'll do to take it one step further is we'll account for things like cost of living increases, and most importantly, we will account for the threat of rising taxes and how that could deteriorate or erode your retirement income. If you've never been through the process before, it's an enlightening process. Pick up the phone, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. Claim that free retirement review today.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzie, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 833-308-5200. 833-308-5200. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have peace of mind. If you're running out the door and you don't have a pen handy, you can grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That'll take you right to the landing page of Elite Income Advisors. You can put in a little bit of information about yourself, and you can schedule your time accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk about the difference between a retirement plan that's not set it and forget it and one that's actively managed. Meaning, do you know how much risk that you're taking in your portfolio? Stay tuned. We'll be back momentarily.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Prashant, Sabapathi, and Ozzie Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. And we're talking all about planning your perfect retirement. In this segment, gentlemen, I'd love to talk about the difference between someone who perhaps has been working with the same advisor through the years, all through the accumulation phase. Then all of a sudden you approach retirement, you're getting into more of the distribution phase. What if someone's coming in for the first time to get a second opinion, and how do you assess if they're taking too much risk?
You know, I think so often people try to get a second opinion from the person that gave them the first opinion in the first place, right? You go back to your advisor and you say, what do you think about X or Y or Z? Well, the idea is that if they set you up with that plan, they should have been giving you proactive advice the whole way through.
True.
So look, I've shared this on the show for years now. I grew up in a medical household. Both of my parents were doctors. My father still practices. My brother's a doctor as well. We were always taught that when you have a problem, you go get a specialist. And then once you check out that specialist, you go get a second opinion to make sure that you're getting the right advice. I don't think your retirement plan should be any different. Maybe you're working with somebody, and that's great. When you get to retirement, it's an entirely different mindset, an entirely different phase of life. Instead of being in the accumulation phase, you're now in the distribution phase where you're not putting money into your portfolio, you're actually taking it out.
Exactly.
Which means that if you lose too much money at the wrong time while you're taking money out, it becomes very difficult to then recover.
Yes.
You remember that old saying on Wall Street? The rule of thumb used to always be buy low
and sell
high,
yeah.
right? But when the market goes down and you take income out of your portfolio, you take withdrawals as the market's going down, are you buying low and selling high? No, you're doing the exact opposite.
Yes.
You're maybe selling at a low point. And so when markets are volatile, you have to be very cognizant of not just your retirement withdrawal strategy, but also how much risk are you taking? Okay, if you don't know how much risk you're taking, you should get a drawdown analysis done. And that's a fancy term, but drawdown analysis just means how much do I stand to lose in a worst case scenario? If you don't know the answer to that question, or your advisor hasn't walked you through what your worst case scenario could potentially look like, getting this analysis done is a great exercise to go through.
And don't you think that, you know, the people are accumulating wealth and now either they are getting close to retirement or they are going to retire? Don't you think that they need to change their allocation?
I think it depends. I think what's been taught to us is the older we get, the less risk we should take. But to me, that's a bit of a blanket statement. And that might be surprising to a lot of folks listening to this. But we have some clients who have all the income that they need coming in, and they might be 70 or 75 years old, and they're taking a high amount of risk. But why are they doing that? Because they can afford to, because the risk that they're taking doesn't impact their paycheck in retirement. Conversely, we have clients that are 50 years old who still have 10 or 15 years to retire, but they're not comfortable taking risks because they know they're going to need every single last penny of that portfolio to create the retirement paycheck that they're going to need when they lose their paycheck from working. So there is no, in my opinion, there is no one size fits all. Just because you're getting older does not necessarily mean that you should de-risk your portfolio. What it does mean is that you should have a concrete written plan that shows you how much income, how much of a paycheck your retirement savings can generate for you on a month-to-month basis, and with what degree of probability is that paycheck going to be there for you? Is it linked to the stock market, or is it foundational, where it's totally reliable and safe? And I think that's how we have to start thinking about risk.
And Prashant, what I'm thinking about as well, I wanted to ask you, obviously there's such a difference between tactical and passive asset management. Talk a little bit about that.
I think there's a huge misconception here when it comes to tactical and active managers. Now, one of the biggest pushbacks that you will find with active money managers is that active managers typically don't beat their benchmark. So I think a lot of times people come in, they say, I was working with an active manager and they didn't beat the stock market. And one thing I say to folks is, that's exactly right. Most of the time, active managers don't beat the stock market. So why use an active manager? I think this comes back to this idea that losses will hurt more than gains help. I say it all the time, losses hurt you more than gains help you. Most of the time when we actively manage our clients' portfolio, it's not so that we can earn the highest rate of return possible. It's actually so that we can try to protect our clients' money as best as possible in the bad times. It doesn't mean that our clients never lose money. That would be unrealistic. Markets are always going to go up and down, but what we're aiming to do is to try to manage money in such a way that hopefully when the market goes down, hopefully we're able to protect as much as we can during the hard times. Folks, that's what this is all about. If you don't know how much risk you're taking, if you've never been through a risk capacity assessment before, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-308-5200. You'll be able to schedule a complimentary visit with our team. Now, when you come in to visit with us, you are not in any way agreeing to become a client. In fact, we're not agreeing that we'll take anyone as a client. All we're doing is we're having a constructive conversation about your goals, your dreams, and what kind of plan may be the best fit for you. It starts with that phone call. This is the last opportunity for today's program, 833-308-5200, or scan the QR code below.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzie, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us today on Retire Smart Maryland. 833-308-5200, or click on the QR code. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We'll see you soon.